Hey everyone, and welcome to our channel. If managing your budget inside of Jira sounds like a dream, hit that like button and subscribe. Today I'm going to show you how one of the best PPM tools available for Jira just got better when it comes to PMO level, budget tracking and cost aggregation. Let's get started. Hey everyone, Mark here from Genius Gecko, where we help teams master Jira and the best project and portfolio management apps for Jira. Today we'll talk about the financials module of BigPicture Enterprise. And as I've mentioned already, it just got better. So what exactly is the financials module? It's the big picture's way to bridge the gap between the project execution, the tasks and the timeline, and the financial control, or the budgets and the costs. Before we proceed, it is important to mention that the financials module is available only within BigPicture Enterprise. And in order to use it, you'll need the standard version of BigPicture plus on top of it BigPicture Enterprise. While in the standard version it is possible to display the budget or the cost at the project or at the portfolio level, the financials module offers rate configuration, time distributed charts and detailed forecasting. We'll get to that shortly. BigPicture's financials module revolves around three key metrics that update in real time. Well, not necessarily in real time, as there is no live synchronization yet, but I'm sure it will be added within the upcoming releases. Now the first metric is your budget or the plan, and this is where you define how much money is allocated to your project or a program. You can enter it directly here in the top left corner on the screen, and it's worth mentioning that BigPicture supports different currencies, so I'm using euros. Now the second metric is the forecast, and now it gets a little bit more complicated as BigPicture uses Jira's time tracking to estimate the planned cost. Now time tracking consists of three different fields. It's the original estimate, the remaining estimate and the spent time. When you set the effort needed for a task, let's say we have a task right here and the effort is 20 hours. This would be the original estimate, okay, expressed in hours. However, as you see in this example, and maybe let me expand it a little bit, as you see in this example, although my effort is 20 hours or the original estimate is 20 hours, when it comes to the forecast or the estimated cost, BigPicture looks at the remaining estimate. In my case, remaining estimate is 0, hence remaining cost is 0. In a simple example where my effort estimate is 48 hours, my hourly rate is 100 euros, and the remaining estimate is also equal to original estimate, the calculation is straightforward and it equals to 4,800 euros, since I haven't really logged any work yet. If I start logging work, and another important thing to mention here is that when you log work, your task has to be at least started, so we're in the middle of working on that particular task. Otherwise, if you plan this task for, let's say, next year, but you've already logged some work on it, this will not be included in this calculation. Alright, let's close this for now. And the third key metric is the actual cost that I've already explained. So again, your task has to be somewhere here on the timeline in order for this module to actually display the actual cost. If you logged work on a task that is planned for, let's say, mid of December, then this will not be included. Keep that in mind. Okay, so I mentioned that there are formulas used to calculate the total cost, the estimated cost, and the actual cost. So what are the formulas? Well, it's pretty simple. In case of the total cost, it's the remaining plus the actual cost. When it comes to the remaining cost, it's whatever is remaining, the remaining estimate of Jira time tracking multiplied by the hourly rate. And when it comes to actual cost, it's the number of logged hours multiplied by the hourly rate. So you might be wondering, how can I set the hourly rate? Well, you have the button right here, cost calculations, and when you click on it, you can go to the configuration, and there are a couple of options here. So first of all, how you estimate your work effort. You have either the hours or story points. And the second option here is which hourly rate should we use. So you have two options, flat hourly rate or team hourly rate. So there's no hourly rate for an individual, although you could work around it by creating a team consisting of a single user, but let's keep things simple and you can set the rate for a team. Your QA team can have different average rate than your dev team, and so on and so forth. So that implies that we are actually using the concept of big picture teams, right? So you can assemble a team for this project and based on that assign an hourly rate to that particular team. Alright, let's see what other information can we see on that screen. So we have the total cost, we have the difference between the budget and the total cost, which is also shown here that the forecast exceeds our budget, and it is indicated that the total cost equals to 107% of our budget. So we already see a warning here. If of course we increase the budget, such warning will disappear and we'll see what percentage of our budget is utilized based on the forecast. We also see this progress bar telling me the total amount already spent on the project, as well as the number of tasks completed versus the total number of teams involved, as well as the cost distribution for my projects for all of the tasks, so you can see what tasks and to what extent consume your budget. So far so good. We also have the work cost breakdown that we've already discussed, and for now at least it is not customizable. Now we also have custom expenses here, so keep in mind that all this work here, in my case 100% of the total cost, is strictly work related. But you might be wondering, okay, what about other non-labor related costs? Let's have a look at the configuration of the tool real quick. So we can define custom expenses. This can be one-time or recurring expenses, and they do not need to be linked to any work item within your Jira. So for example, travel costs or licensing costs, I have some already assigned to one of initiatives in my portfolio. Let's add another one, 1,000 euros, and let's assign it to my Genius Gecko project, valid from current date, and let's leave it uncategorized. We'll get to that. Let's say these are not recurring, and if I go back to financials, you will see this additional section now unlocked. Also on my chart, on my total cost over time, I see a new category. It's now color coded gray, so you can see it right here. And we also have this additional section here, custom expenses. And now the work items amount to 99% of the total cost. Now we also have the distinction between the capital expenses and operational expenses. There are different ways to tag such expenses. If you open that Gantt chart or edit the issue, you will see that there is a dedicated field for that. It's called CAPEX or OPEX, and you can simply start tagging your costs as capital or operational. As simple as that. There are some other options. You can use a filter for that, but it's real straightforward. Okay, let's go back to our financials module. Now this is not all. I mean, you already see a lot of information here, but keep in mind that we are actually looking at the project level. What if we want to have a view for a PMO, for a group of projects, for a program or a portfolio? Well, we cannot view this here. And by the way, one more important thing, of course, I can apply filters and narrow this view to have a look at a specific team member or any group of tasks. You can apply filters and the charts will be updated. Other than that, you can also select the time period. So we are looking at Q4, but you can look at the next quarter or current year or the next year, or set your custom date. Alright, now the last thing I wanted to show you here is when we switch to the portfolio view. When it comes to my portfolio, you will have this side panel, and while it looks similar altogether, we can set the budget for the whole portfolio. So let's set it to 1 million euros. Alright, so we have exceeded a budget a little bit. So this section actually looks very similar. It just accumulates or rolls up all the projects that are part of my portfolio. And I have several projects here. The chart shows me the breakdown between the different projects that I have in my portfolio. It's broken down in a similar way when it comes to the capital and operational expenses. We also have the cost distribution by initiatives this time instead of by work items. And we also have the initiatives cost and budget section that again rolls up all the costs for each of these projects. It also includes the cost distributions for each of my projects. But there is another view here that's called the cost variance. And this particular view allows you to compare your baseline or a snapshot of your costs to the actual numbers, right? So what I have here is the add button where I can decide the snapshot to compare. You can configure the snapshots to be taken automatically by the tool, or you can create a custom snapshot at any time, and this will capture the total estimated cost, the total estimated time in hours, and the variation in estimated cost over time. Let me maybe hide some of these snapshots, we don't need all of them. Well, in my case, the actual cost comparing it to the snapshots has increased, right? Increased significantly by over 2600%. As I have the total of 13 hours and now the estimated hours are 368. If it's positive value, that means that the costs have decreased. Alright guys, now that you know what type of information you can expect within the latest release of the BigPicture Enterprise Financials module, let's talk about what it cannot do. It is not an invoicing software. It will not generate invoices. There are no skill-based rates. This is a popular question, although you could work around it if you create skill-based teams, right? So for junior, senior developers, for example, create separate teams. There is a workaround for that, and the most important is that your users need to log time. If they do not log time, this module is practically useless. So if you need more tips on how to master your Jira PPM tools, reach out to us. We can help you in picking the best solutions that are tailored just for your needs. We also can improve your processes. Our agile coaches can help you in your agile transformation. You'll find more info in the description. That's it for today. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.